Dear students, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to deal with the second part of the lesson, the ashes that made the trees bloom. Not long after that, the good old man dreamed again, and the spirit of the dog spoke to him, telling him how the wicked people had burned the mill made from the pine tree. So, not long after a few days, the good old man again dreamed the spirit of the dog, and the dog spoke to him that how the wicked old people burned the mortar and mill made from the pine tree. Take the ashes of the mill, sprinkle them on the withered trees, and they will bloom again, said the dog spirit. So the dog spirit said in his dream that he has to collect the ashes of the mill and sprinkle it on the withered trees. Withered means dry trees without flowers and leaves. Okay, dry trees, and they will bloom again. Flowers and leaves will appear again, said the spirit of the dog in his dream. The old man awoke and went at once to his wicked neighbor's house, where he found the miserable old pair sitting at the edge of their square fireplace in the middle of the floor, smoking and spinning. So, the old man went to the neighbor's house, wicked, cruel neighbor's house, and when he reached there, he saw that the miserable old pair, that means the sad old pair, that neighbor and his wife was sitting at their fireplace, and they are smoking and spinning the fire. Okay, so the old couple, the cruel old couple were sitting at the fireplace in order to get warm. From time to time, they warmed their hands and feet with the blaze from some bits of the mill, while behind them lay a pile of the broken pieces. Okay, so from time to time, they are putting the piece of wood, that is piece of the bits of mill. They are putting that into the fire, and they are getting warmth time to time. Okay, they are warming their hands and feet from the fire. Okay, and behind them there was a pile of broken pieces of that mill. The good old man humbly asked for the ashes, though the covetous couple turned up their noses at him and scolded him as if he were a thief. They let him fill his basket with the ashes. So the good old man humbly requested for the ashes. Though the covetous couple turned up their noses at him. Turned up their noses at him means they become very angry or treated them with contempt. Okay, and scolded him. But they were finally they gave him a basket full of ashes. Okay, first they became very angry and scolded him like a thief. Then at the end, when the old man requested, they were ready to give a basket full of ashes. On coming home, the old man took his wife into the garden. So coming back home, what did he do? He took his wife into the garden. In it being winter, their favorite cherry tree was bare. So it is the winter season, so there was no flowers and leaves on their favorite cherry tree. Bare means without leaves and flowers. He sprinkled a pinch of ashes on it, and lo, it sprouted blossoms until it became a cloud of pink blooms which perfumed the air. So he sprinkled a pinch of ashes on it, and immediately it begins to blossom. Okay, there it began to came their blossoms and flowers, buds of flowers, leaves, etc. And within no time the cherry tree was full of flowers and leaves. Okay, and it had a nice perfume in the air because of the blooming of flowers. The news of this filled the village, and everyone ran out to see the wonder. So all the people in the village has known about this, and they all ran to the house of this old man to see the wonder. The covetous couple also heard the story, and gathering up the remaining ashes of the mill, kept them to make withered trees blossom. So the covetous couple also heard the story. The old neighbors, they also heard the story. So they collected the remaining ashes of the mill and kept them to make withered trees blossom. They also kept them to make the trees blossom. The kind old man, hearing that his lord, the daimyo, was to pass along the high road near the village. So the old man heard that their lord, their ruler, daimyo, was passing through the road near their village. Set out to see him, taking his basket of ashes. So he set out means started his journey to see him, and he also took the basket of ashes. As the train approached, he climbed up into an old withered cherry tree that stood by the wayside. So as the train approached, train means procession. Okay, the kings, when a king or the ruler of the country comes, there will be lot of people uh, with him. Okay, so soldiers and other officials. So that is called the train. Okay, as the train approached, he climbed up into an old withered cherry tree that stood by the wayside. He climbed up one of the cherry tree that stood on the side of the road. Now in the days of the daimyos, it was the custom when their lord passed by for all the loyal people to shut up their high windows. So in olden days in Japan, when the king passes, they have to close all the windows of the houses and buildings. Okay, they should not watch the king going, or they should not see the king and his people. They even so they have to close the windows. They even pasted them fast with a slip of paper so as not to commit the impertinence of looking down on his lordship. So in order to be safe, what did they do? They pasted uh, windows with papers. Okay, why do they do that? Because if they pasted paper or they covered windows with paper and all, they cannot look through that window or the king. Okay, so that much important for them, that they should not watch the king passing by. All the people along the road would fall upon their hands and knees and remain prostrate until the procession passed by. So those people are on the road at the time of king's arrival, they want to sit on their knees. Okay, knees and heads down. Okay, prostrate means lying on the ground face downward. Okay, they have to sit on their knees and, with their heads down. That means they should not stand up and they should not look at the king. That is the rule. That is the custom of Japan in olden days. So that is why the old man climbed up the cherry tree. Okay, he cannot stand in front of the king. The train drew near. Okay, the train approached means the king and his people came near. One tall, competent man marched ahead, crying out to the people, by the way, get down on your knees, get down on your knees. And everyone kneeled down while the procession was passing. So the king, and when the king comes, when the daimyo comes, the man most in front of them, okay, on the march, he would say that get down on your knees, get down on your knees. So when the other people hear his voice, everyone should sit on their knees. Okay, suddenly the leader of the van caught sight of the aged man up in the tree. So that man saw the old man on the tree. He was about to call out to him an angry tone, but seeing he was such an old fellow, he pretended not to notice him and passed him by. So this old man saw, so this man in front of them, in front of the train, saw the old man climbed up that tree, sitting on the tree. So at first he became very angry, but seeing that he was such an old fellow, he was too old, he pretended that he didn't see him. Okay, he acted that he didn't see that old man and passed by. So when the daimyo's palanquin drew near, the old man, taking a pinch of ashes from his basket, scattered it over the tree. In a moment it burst into blossom. So when the daimyo's palanquin drew near, palanquin means royal van, cart. Okay, the cart that the daimyo used to travel. So when the palanquin came near, the old man took a pinch of ash from the basket and sprinkled it over the tree. So at the very moment the tree began to bloom again. It was full of flowers. The delighted daimyo ordered the train to be stopped and got out to see the wonder. The daimyo became very happy seeing this wonder. So he asked the train to be stopped and he get out of the palanquin to see the wonder. Calling the old man to him, he thanked him and ordered presents of silk robes, sponge cake, fans, and other rewards to be given to him. So he was very delighted, very happy. So he gave so many gifts to the old man. Rewards means gift. He even invited him to his castle. The daimyo also invited the old man to come to his castle. So the old man went gleefully home to share his joy with his dear old wife. So the old man went back home very happily to tell all these things to his wife and to share his happiness. But when the greedy neighbor heard of it, he took some of the magic ashes and went out on the highway. So when the greedy neighbor heard all of it, he also took the ashes and went to the road. There he waited until a daimyo's train came along, and instead of kneeling down like the crowd, he climbed a withered cherry tree. So he took the ashes and waited there on the road and instead of kneeling down like others, he climbed up a withered cherry tree. When the daimyo himself was almost directly under him, he threw a handful of ashes over the tree, which did not change a particle. So when the daimyo reached under him, under the cherry tree, he threw a handful of ashes over the tree, but it did not change even a little bit. Okay, it made any change on the cherry tree. It didn't bloomed. The wind blew the fine dust in the noses and eyes of the daimyo and his wife. So instead of blooming the cherry tree, the wind blew the ash into the noses and eyes of the daimyo and his wife. Such sneezing and choking. So the king and his wife, they were sneezing and choking means suffocating means very difficult to take in air, that's breathing, difficulty in breathing, suffocating. So sneezing and choking, it spoiled all the pomp and dignity of the procession. So everything in a chaos. Okay, everyone are sneezing and choking, shouting. So it spoiled, it damaged all the grace, beauty and dignity of the procession, of that train, or the coming of that king. The man whose business it was to cry, "Get down on your knees," seized the old fool by the collar, dragged him from the tree, and tumbled him and his ash basket into the ditch by the road. So the man who cried out, "Get down on your knees," so this wicked old man, what did he do? He seized, caught a man by the collar and dragged him from the tree and tumbled him and his ash basket into the ditch by the road. Ditch means waste, waste water flowing thing, ditch. Then beating him soundly, he left him for dead. So that man beat him very hard and the man left him for dead. The old wicked neighbor was died. Thus the wicked old man died in the mud, but the kind friend of the dog dwelt in peace and plenty, and both he and his wife lived to a green old age. Okay, thus the wicked old man died in the mud. He died on the road, and the kind friend of the dog, that means that kind old man dwelt in peace and plenty. Dwelt means lived in peace and plenty. Plenty means prospectus. That means he had everything enough to lead a happy life, and both he and his wife lived to a green old age. Okay, they lived to a green old age means they lived healthily and happily. Okay, so they have a good old age. Okay, they had wealth, they had everything, and that is enough to live. So they had a happy life, and the old wicked man, their neighbor, had a sad death. So this is all about the story, The Ashes That Made the Tree Bloom. Okay, so it is written by William Elliot Griffiths. Thank you.